My name is Tyra Hurricane Black. My mom and dad named me that right when I was born. I think my parents picked it more for marketing purposes for tennis when I was younger, but it's my actual middle name and everyone seems to think it's a nickname. At tournaments nowadays, people still write online and say stuff to me saying that I shouldn't have Hurricane as a name and it doesn't fit my personality. They'd say, oh, that black girl Tyra, that black girl Hurricane, and my last name is Black too, so you can imagine people had a lot of things to say. I really tried to embrace the name Hurricane, I think. I felt like that was a cool way to avoid just being called the black girl. So when I started playing sports, I put Hurricane first. Hurricane is just a great marketing front. People have a lot of fun with it. I was playing a tournament and a lot of people came out with signs. One of them said hurricane season, it's hurricane time, and all these cute things. And then as I started to embrace the name, people coming out and cheering for me like that felt absolutely amazing. I've seen a lot of good, talented athletes go out there and they doubt themselves and they don't live up to their potential. And just the main thing out there is confidence and be sure of yourself. My name is Tyra Hurricane Black. I'm 22 years old. I'm a professional pickleball player and ex-professional tennis player. My earliest memory of playing tennis, it was actually when I was little. I would sit under my dad's basket and just kind of watch him coach. Both my parents coached. My dad was a professional coach and my mom was more for like younger kids and beginners, so I was around tennis a lot. I grew up in Boca Raton, Florida. There wasn't a lot of diversity around here, so I dealt with a lot of racism, especially when I was younger. People at the parks, they would come up to me and say they weren't allowed to play with us because of the color of our skin. And my mom is white, so sometimes people wouldn't even realize that she was my mom and they'd start saying things to her. So, sorry. So it was a little difficult, especially being in school when I was younger. So my parents took me out and I just started training full time. Training that much from such a young age made me very disciplined on the court. And I was still able to be around a lot of other kids because my dad had a big academy here in Boca, so it was still good. In tennis, most people would come cheer against me in America. That's kind of why I left tennis. People were a little bit meaner, I'd say. And coming into pickleball, everyone was super supportive and welcoming and very helpful. My friend introduced me to pickleball last year, but I was still playing professional tennis. I've trained for tennis since I was 3 years old. I was on the court before that, so I wanted to keep going, but I was getting a little bit depressed, I think, on the tour. It was very lonely. I was traveling by myself since I was 13 years old, so being in foreign countries by myself where I don't even speak the language was a little difficult. I was in Turkey this year for some tournaments and there was a bad earthquake. I slept through the first one and I woke up and I went to go out to play my match and they said there was an earthquake. I'm like, I didn't feel anything. And we were standing on the court warming up and they told us we weren't going to be able to play and they just kept pushing everything back and we had no idea what was actually going on. And then they just start saying like tens of thousands of people died and the numbers just kept going up and up and up. About 5 minutes later, I was sitting there and another earthquake hit. And I've never been in one before and I just saw the chandelier start shaking back and forth. And I was so confused. I thought I was dizzy or something. And all of a sudden I see everyone running out of the lunch place and I was like, I guess I have to run out too. I was so sick and so dizzy for the whole day. And a lot of other players we couldn't fly out and we were just kind of stuck there for a few days, I think. And I just had a lot of time to reflect and think. And I heard some horror stories about not even just the workers, but the players, their friends and families, what happened to them. And I felt awful. And I realized like life is short and I gotta do what I love and it's not tennis. And that's when I decided to come home and play pickleball full time. That's annoying. I think there's a better sense of community in pickleball. It's the same people every week traveling together, so you kind of get used to being around each other, practicing with each other, just becoming friends. And on the tennis tour, it's kind of dog eat dog out there. You don't have to see the same people all the time, so they don't really care what they do or say to you. In pickleball, I feel like the players all kind of deal with things together. I didn't really get to build many friendships in tennis as I'd like, and most of my friends I had, I'd see them for a few events, and then sometimes I won't see them again for a few years. They live all over the world. And now in pickleball, I just kind of have friends all around. I get to see them every week, and it's really fun. A lot of people will talk trash about it, say it shouldn't be a sport. Pickleball is a joke. You'll just hear the funniest things possible, but it's a mix of sports, so it's definitely tough and it can get very physical out there. The first few times I played, I was like, wow, this is really easy. But when you have some 12-hour days playing matches, you know how tough it can get out there. My style of play is pretty similar in both sports, I'd say. I brought over a lot of shots from tennis that everyone said were not good shots and it wouldn't work, and I'd have to change that. And over the last few months, I've just decided to embrace my style of play coming from tennis, and I think it helped me a lot. I just recently beat the #1 player in the world.
Oh, Hurricane Tyra Black, the former tennis pro.
What Tyra Black has brought to the women's game is different, and it's special.
And Hurricane Tyra Black takes the match.
I used all of my tennis shots out there, the shots that they all told me I wouldn't be able to win with. I left a career that I trained for since I was 3 years old and put my whole life into for something else that made me happy. And so getting that gold medal and that win kind of meant the world to me, and it made me really proud of myself. And it's the first time I was actually like insanely proud of my trophy or medal coming back home, and it just felt amazing. Pickleball was my hobby, but now it's my full-time job. But I love shopping and I love hiking, nature walks. I like to go to animal shelters. I wanted to be a vet when I was little, so I just absolutely loved animals. Growing up so close to the Everglades, I was always out there with turtles to birds. I'd bring home even snakes and try and nurse them back to health. So that was just always my thing. I was on the court and there was a bee on the court and I was trying to get it off. We were in the middle of a match and the ref went and just stomped on it. And I started crying on the court, and I was trying not to throw up on the court too. It was really bad and a little embarrassing, but yeah. I put a lot of thought into my outfits. You probably can't tell right now, but I usually try and match everything from my shoes to my hat, even my nails. It gives me a lot of confidence on the court. I'll look at different angles in the mirror before I go out to make sure everything looks good and okay. I didn't think that so much in tennis, but recently in pickleball, because I'm smiling more on the court, I think I love those pictures a lot more, and they just look really cute to me. I always wanted Venus's fashion sense. I loved it, and I wanted Serena's attitude on the court, to be strong and determined like she is, and I tried to copy Novak Djokovic's game on the court. Lately, I realized that it's better that I do my own thing. I need to be myself on the court and have my own attitude and do whatever it is that I want to do.